Just because you can generate 10x content in a matter of seconds doesn't mean you need to generate 10x of repetitive and regurgitated content. So if you think you will rise higher in search results because of content created by generative AI, you're wrong. Let's talk about the pros and cons of using generative text. All right, the pros: enhanced productivity, dramatically reduces the need for content creation, right? It's very efficient, enables rapid automation, writing, generation of reports, allows businesses and individuals to scale content production. It also enhances creative enhancement and ideation, right? A lot of people use it to brainstorm, overcome creative blocks by suggesting new perspectives, enables exploration of different styles or approaches, like I just did with Hemingway. Adaptability and personalization, enables content tailoring for different audiences' purposes, summarizes information, makes it more accessible. And I use it sometimes language translation or to adapt the content for a different audience. So I use it too. Super easy. You just prompt it and it does it for you. Now let's look at the cons, right? So there are a lot of cons. Okay, the cons: quality and accuracy concerns. We've all heard this term, hallucinations. Sometimes produces inaccurate content. And I will tell you that I like to say that it's, quote, confidently wrong, end quote, right? It sounds, the tone is so confident, you can't imagine that what it's spitting out is untrue or an hallucination or inaccurate, but it is. It also has a potential for generating low quality, error-filled material, thin content. We talked about thin content. It also could give stuff that's outdated or incorrect. It struggles to produce original content. Now, like I said, search engines, much like the large language models, they reward uniqueness. So if it's just pumping out stuff that's not unique, that's a problem. It doesn't have human insight, doesn't have experience, the E of that acronym. It can't tell you how your product works. It can tell you how it works, but it can't tell you what it likes or doesn't like about it, the pros and cons of the product. And it often generates content derivative of what it was trained on. So if you're using generative AI for a product description and a competitor is using it, okay, it's not going to be word for word, but it's all going to be generated from the exact same corpus of information. No one's going to have anything that's unique. No one's going to have anything that has any insight into it. And then, of course, there are the ethical security sources, right? You can engage in copyright infringement, could be misleading, misinformation, much like the hallucinations. And there are always these questions about security and stuff like that, right? So this is super important because the intersection of AI and SEO is getting super muddy these days. And there are tons of startups spinning up content for clients. I see these SEO tools, they spin up content for clients. They claim it's, quote, SEO optimized, when in reality, they're just building on top of a layer of ChatGPT with a few of SEO practices underpinning it. But not one of those SEO tools has duped Google for more than a month, maybe 2 months. And the net result is you're going to get more trouble using these generative tools to produce content than not using it.
Hey, if you're enjoying this content, you're going to love the masterclasses that we host on a regular basis. We've got over 1,000 members in our private community, and over 400 of them are already doing over $1 million. We regularly host masterclasses with hundreds of students, and you can find out more below. Join us.
Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't use them at all, right? Because one of the pros, as we saw before, is it's good for brainstorming. It's good for a first draft. So, use it for that first draft. Get something on the page. Make sure that it has the experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, right? So use it for that first draft. Then layering your own experience, layering your expertise, layering data points, information, specs, details that make it authoritative and trustworthy. Because leaving it to an LLM, no experience. It's not a human. It's never played with it. It has no more expertise than you do. In fact, it has less. It only has what it was trained on. It's definitely not authoritative, right? You're a professional who knows the product. It does not. And nor is it more trustworthy about aspects of your product or your profession or your site than you are, right? So these large language models, they're nothing more than a trained model of probabilities, cliches, available data points that everyone else has. So one of the things people say is, yeah, but it's great. I can generate 10x content and I can do it in seconds, right? And for people who want to, and you have to, right? There's a lot of text you got to generate. But just because you can generate 10x content in a matter of seconds doesn't mean you need to generate 10x of repetitive and regurgitated content. So if you think you will rise higher in search results because of content created by generative AI, you're wrong. You're gonna hurt yourself, and you're gonna hurt yourself in search over time. It needs a human touch. Like I said, use the stuff that you have initially. That first round, brainstorm, get that first thing, but then you need to inject the human touch. I've used this product. I always found when dealing with this product, one of the things that I wish the manufacturer improved was X, Y, and Z. So it needs that human touch. And also, if you use generative AI, and we've been talking about details and specs, it's only going to offer a certain number of them. And what you want is more. But you're not going to know that because it's going to confidently tell you these are the important specs, details about this product. So get that first draft done with generative text, add the human touch so that you make it more robust. And that's the only, otherwise you're just going to have content that everyone else has based on that same corpus, but rewritten in a different way.